either of you have ever done any Audacity editing before, but it's really bad.
Oh, really? Is it a convoluted system?
It's a very convoluted. Griffin, I wouldn't
commands?
expect you to understand.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, it's great. I mean, we'll just keep using this forever. What could be better?
My favorite part is how you click on...
You talk in the microphone and it's just fine.
I like when you click on a part of the track and then it creates like a little placeholder that you can't get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. I really like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like hell.
Yep.
It's actually not too bad for cutting little snips and pieces. I was able to figure that much out, but anything beyond that is hell.
Is there an Adobe application for audio recording? They have like everything else.
Nobody cares about audio recording, so Adobe hasn't made it.
Okay.
Seriously, though, like I'm pretty certain everybody runs off Audacity or GarageBand still.
Oh, really? That's so sad.
It's
Such
fine.
a terrible program.
I forgot that GarageBand existed.
I truly believe that is like the sole barrier to entry into podcastdom at this point, which is just like you have to endure the garbage slog that is the systems.
I'm just remembering the great jams I made in GarageBand freshman year of college. I wish I could
That
play them
and
back
that
for
and
you
the
guys.
RSS feed, yeah.
Was
Oh yeah,
anything,
do you want
was
to sing
anything
one?
more heartbreaking than you making your GarageBand jam and then you hear that same like loop somewhere else? Nothing
yeah.
No.
Nothing is more heartbreaking than
I'm
that.
pretty sure Justin Bieber
can
stole
think
it
of
for the
other
song
things.
Sorry.
And then you realize there's a total of like 5 loops in GarageBand, and you just chose one of the 5 that are good. And you're going to hear them all for the rest of your life.
I just remember... That's my
Oh, it's
favorite
my
one.
cell phone. That's my cell phone ringtone.
Is it really?
No, I haven't had a ringtone on my cell phone for 5 years because
Yeah,
it's on.
what are you talking about?
I have it
Ringtone?
super glued into vibrate forever.
That's true. That is my experience as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I turn off vibrate, and then my phone starts emitting high-pitched noises, and I become very alarmed.
Yes, me too.
I think it's the aliens trying to talk to me.
That's 2000 and late.
That's really
Ringtones.
interesting, because my ringtone is entirely Will.i.am beats.
Oh, man. What do you guys think of the video games that have been happening?
Well, I'm happy you're asking me about that.
Really? Because you don't sound...
I'm really happy to talk about video games because we're on a podcast right now.
Yeah, it's just really hard sometimes to talk about the joy of video games.
Video games are like the exploration of the mind. And right now the mind is stagnant.
You know who's
Without
really...
a new system, what is the purpose of a video game?
I was going to make a joke, but now I think you're just writing the next Metal Gear game right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean Death Stranding?
I'm pretty sure the next Metal Gear game will just be Battle Royale.
Oh, I'm sorry, you mean Metal Gear Solid Pachinko 2.
No, they gotta follow the trends, man. Pachinko is evergreen, that is true, but I think it's Battle Royale is next.
You mean Metal Gear Solid Body Massage.
Alright, hear me out. Keep the zombies, lose the sneaking, add
Keep going.
100-person deathmatch. Perfect, it's done.
Add lightning from Final Fantasy 13 and then you're done.
Add Dynasty Warriors.
Yes. That's Koei Tecmo, but they'll team with anyone.
Sure. They're all thirsty.
They're all up. Yeah, that's true. They're thirsty AF. They're gonna sex up the boss even more.
Is that possible?
I mean, you know.
Oh,
they
yeah.
could do quiet.
They could chibi-ify her.
Chibi-ify her?
Chibi.
Oh,
like,
chibi. Oh, yeah. I mean, why not make her look like a 9-year-old?
Right. Make her palatable for the other markets.
Jack, I fought in wars, and I'm a preteen girl.
Right. Jack. That's it. Begin.
I have a Band-Aid on my cheek for reasons that no one will ever address.
Jack, you have to find yourself, but don't look there, senpai. No!
Jack, but...
Yeah!
My hormones! I'm 30.
I've had a child. My womb is
Have you guys seen Agretsuko on Netflix?
I've heard of that.
No.
Oh God, watch it. It's so good.
Is it actually good, or is it good in like a really terrible way?
No, it's very
Is
good.
it also short, and that I can do it in like 3 hours?
Yes, you could do it probably in much less than that. It's very short episodes, like 15-minute episodes.
Oh, thank God.
Ooh, you've got my attention.
Yeah, same here.
That's about the level of investment I'm ready for. On
Yeah,
like an
yeah,
emotional
give me that
and
time.
otherwise level.
It's an anime. It's an anime about. It takes place in Japan. All the characters are animals, and it's about a young salary girl who hates her job, and at night goes to a karaoke bar and screams heavy metal songs about her horrible bosses. And it's very good.
That sounds very anime. It sounds very anime, and that the actual premise sounds really like it could just be really terrible, but I'm sure it's endearing in a way that will become apparent when I watch the program.
Yeah, I want to check that out. I recently had a conversation with coworkers where they're like, "Hey, I watched the Iron Fist. What do you watch, Griff? Like, what do you do?" And I'm like,
And that's why they don't talk to you anymore. Because you answer questions like,
well, no. Here's the trouble. Here's the conundrum. Because they're like, you need to watch. I was like, well, I watched some Netflix. Like, I watched like a couple episodes of Altered Carbon, but then they're like an hour long, and I fell asleep. But it's a cool show. But they're like, well, what about like all the Marvel stuff? Like, watch all that. I'm like, yeah, it's all stuff to watch. And what I cannot tell them is that I watched all of the anime Gambling House.
Oh, you watched that show where she has an
from
orgasm every
start
time she
to
gambles?
finish every episode.
Oh, there was a start to finish every episode, wasn't there?
Oh, there was a finish for sure, at least in a couple of them.
what is this show called? What are you talking about?
Didn't we talk about it in our last biannual podcast?
I don't know if we did, but yeah, it's essentially like an adorable anime show about some lady who's like really into gambling, but she's also really into gambling.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like is it about a gambling school? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so that's pretty much the premise.
Is it a school? Is it a gambling school? Is that what it is?
It's a gambling school. Yeah,
all right, it's always a school.
Now we know what Jen has to hear every night.
It's pretty uncomfortable.
It's gross.
You're like that guy from Intervention when he cries, except that's your O face. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope, not one bit.
You've never seen that video of that man
Is it
crying
on
from
Netflix?
Intervention? No, it's on YouTube's.
Yeah. Nope,
Gentleman
didn't see it.
unleashing emotion in a very primal way.
Oh, with the Mario Karts. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
There's Mario Karts? I've not seen that iteration.
Yeah, the Rainbow Road version of it is absolutely the best.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's very good. Yes, now I know what you're talking about. But anyway, there's a bunch of dumb shit on the internet. And speaking of things to distract yourself with, to not play video games, you should play video games in the form of God of War, Celeste, Into the Breach, Ni no Kuni 2.
Oh, I forgot that existed. Spoilers.
The Yakuza newest game.
Yakuza
you checked that out?
60.
I'm just asking you guys, like, which one do you guys want to grasp onto?
you wanna-
you guys want to talk about some games? You guys playing some games?
I'm going to talk about some games. Hey, I'm going to talk about Ni no Kuni 2 because I
heck
just
yes.
want to. Let's get into that. I think we all tried it out.
Yeah, let's wrap.
So hey, I played Ni no Kuni 2, and
It's not Ni no Kuni 1.
it's not Ni no Kuni 1 in a lot of ways. They ditched the combat system and replaced it with a sort of action combat system, which, upon playing the game, is incredibly easy and just sort of, I feel like, almost trivializes itself.
Yep.
And the plot is super weird from the, I'm going to say 5 to 10 hours that I did play. It opens with a missile attack, which
gets
feels
better.
Which feels very incongruous. Do they loop back to that?
About 40 hours in, it finds
Alright.
its plot.
Can I say that I
JRPG.
dug the missile attack, and I
Yeah.
I bought in like that instant. Like, the second I saw that, I was like, this is the dumbest thing
Me too.
I've ever seen in my life, and I love it, and I want to play this game until the end.
So, to be clear, I loved the missile attack. I also loved, and I think I spoiled it for Jamie, but I loved when in the very next scene, the, like, lead and or supporting character was dropped into fantasy world and then pulled out a gun and shot a mouse in the head.
Yep.
Also loved it.
This game is highly incongruous, but I love it. And then it just kind of fell flat, like, completely, and went into sort of tired, shitty fantasy tropes for me. And I just stopped caring altogether. And it's not hard, and it's just,
I'm surprised
like,
that the
not
fantasy
fun.
tropes are the things that threw you, Geoff.
Yeah, I found the fantasy tropes very endearing, and they're just different enough from, everything else that I found they're enough to be interested by. I love the Piggledy-Wiggledies. I think
Piggledy-Piggledies, or
yeah,
something like that.
Jeff, have you got to the gambling town?
No,
Shut your fucking mouth.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's a hinterland situation.
It's really
no.
not. It's more like you didn't play more than 30 minutes
stopped
of the
playing the
game.
game.
To be clear, I got through the maze. I did the whole maze, and I got the little dude, and I was like, I hate this dude.
I think
You
he's
don't
just
remember the
talking
maze?
about that. I think he's talking about,
You're talking about the dungeon?
yeah, the first dungeon.
The first dungeon?
That takes like 20 minutes.
The like thing where you have to solve all the puzzles?
Did you get to the world map?
Yes. No, I'm talking about the thing where you have to get your little spirit, your little kingmaker.
Oh, that did blow.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
You're so
However,
I should
there
stick
was
with
an
this
option
game.
to just totally bypass that.
Just
there
cheese
was
the
there's
heck out of it.
there's like a if you failed it enough and went back to the start, it's like, do you not want to do this shit? Yes. It actually made a lot of sense once you got through, like, I think once I got through the first two of them, I was like, oh, I get it. This is
I
what
get
they're going
it.
for.
I completely get it. I just don't like it. Just like the real-time strategy game. I completely get it. I just don't like it. It's just
Good
bad.
analogy.
The real-time strategy game it's very poor.
Yeah.
You are not wrong about that.
I feel like that game just piles on systems that I aggressively don't care about and don't want to deal with.
But those systems haven't been fleshed out for you, and I totally get that. If those systems,
But they don't get much better. I mean, 40 hours in, you're
I don't want
kinda
more
still...
complexity in those systems. I wish they would go away.
No, they're still there, and they're still the same degree of shitty, honestly.
well, he literally has, in terms of the RTS thing, he has half of it. He has only 2 units. And I feel like that is...
It doesn't make a
I
difference,
don't
though.
like it,
I disagree.
No, it really doesn't, though.
It's not fun. I hate with 2 units. I'm like, this is highly unwieldy. I feel like with 4 units, I'll be like, this is terrible.
Uh-huh.
I understand that for some that might land, and I think my mood state may have affected it. Like, I may have just been like, I am in no mood for this shit right now. But I was just like, I was aggressively angry, and I was like, are they really going to make me do this too?
First of all,
Yes.
you don't have
Yes,
to.
they will.
But I kind of loved it. I love the pressing the shoulder buttons to rotate them around. I actually got pretty into it. There are some battles early on where you can't really do it unless you go back to your base and level some stuff up there and also grind a little bit, but I didn't want to do any of that, so I just kind of kept trying different weird things and weird positioning and shoving some of my units up against a wall so that they were protected and then every of the opposing units had to be funneled into my unit type that could kill them. I really liked it. I don't know why. I don't know what about it grabbed me, but I dig that aspect of the game.
God love you, Jamie.
Yeah,
I don't know how you found a way, but I'm glad you did.
I got through the gambling town and got to the point where they're like, the world is yours now. And I'm like, huh.
Does it get better when the world is yours?
Well, that's when God of War came to me.
Ooh, I see.
And then I was like, well, goodbye, Ni no Kuni 2 for a while.
I made it. So wait, did you
go
not
ahead.
make it to the next town, Griff? You didn't make it to the water area?
I made it through the gambling town, and then they're like, here's these interesting locations. And I was like, oh, hey, God of War, what's up?
So I made it to the next. I made it to the next town after that, and I really like. I I loved the gambling town. I thought it felt really well realized and really well fleshed out.
I really liked the town, yeah.
I liked how when you get your kingdom, you're like poaching people from the town, and you can poach a lot of them. So there's a lot of people in that town who actually have kind of interesting stories, and you can recruit them for your own city. And I got into the city building aspect as well. City building aspect is not as... I was really hoping for some Dark Cloud-esque shit, because that's my jam.
It's not that.
Not that at all. Unfortunately, still scratches that
It's
itch.
a phone game. It's a phone game system.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't
you can
go
put
that
this
far,
thing
but...
here, and you have to have the game playing for so much time to recuperate so much funds, to then use those funds to buy those things and upgrade those things. Hey, would you like to spend more funds to expedite this research you're doing? It's a phone game.
That said, you can't spend real money to like advance it faster. It's I think the reason why they did it that way is because they want you to be playing the game, because they don't want you to get too advanced. Some of the things that you can research in the town would make the game, which is already obscenely easy, even easier. So I think that's their way. That's their horrible, not well thought out way of kind of gating that stuff. But it does. I completely agree with you. It doesn't work. But the more you play of the game, I think that it actually works really well if you're not obsessed with grokking it in terms of your city. Like if you're naturally playing through the game, returning to your city when prompted by the story, there's kind of a nice give and take that works well together. It definitely could have been implemented better.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Dragon Age did that too. Like timers that you can't pay to skip. It's like, why is this a thing?
So best game of the year, huh?
Yeah, I knew I was throwing you some meat, Griff, and you took it. You ate that meat. Joke's on you, it was trank meat.
No! I'm so sleepy.
Wait, hold on. Before we move beyond...
let's have our way with him.
Can I just say really quickly that the way you get the higgledies is the worst. I hate it so much.
It is kind of bad, yeah.
I'm sorry, that game really bounced off me. Yes, the stones. You have to remember where every stone is, and you have to come back with like late game items or like some random shit that's totally missable and not.
Yep.
Also, there's like 3 enemies in that whole game. Sorry, I could go on.
No, there's much more than that. And I totally get your thing about the stones, but it didn't bother me.
I get the hyperbole of like the enemy types are not interesting because combat is a breeze by no question. But the stones I don't think are that bad.
I guess so. I guess it's
but
just
also
kind of
like they don't matter
like, if you can,
because the higgledies suck. Like there's no point to them really for the most part.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it.
I use them all the time. I don't know. This is so interesting because my experience is so different from you guys, especially with flying enemies later in the game. Like flying enemies, I have a special higgledy for that. Like,
but you can just jump and then knock them down. I mean,
yeah.
I
or
agree.
Shoot them.
They're cool. Like I like the cannon higgledy. Like I thought that was neat, and I like activating it. But then the battle's over by the time I activate it every time.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I went into this game. I knew it was easy, and I'm like, you know what? This is like a Kirby's Epic Yarn RPG, and that's how I've been approaching it. And I feel like that has been paying dividends. It's because you're right. If you're going in expecting like to really need to utilize all of these things to get through the game, you really don't, you could just mash the attack button and you'd be fine.
Yeah, Jimmy, I don't know what that analogy means, but I know that what I really like about this game is when I do step away from it for a while, I can get back into it, and there's no barrier to entry. It's just like, oh, look at the quest log. This is what I got to do. Yeah. Okay, this is what I'm doing. There's no like, I need to remember all these systems, and that's really nice.
To use an SAT style analogy, I would say Kirby's Epic Yarn : let's say, I don't know, VV.
Kirby only has one colon, I'm fairly certain.
And then the next one would be, let's say, this game, : I don't know. What's a really hard JRPG? Can't think of one right now.
Do you want to be the guy? I want to be the guy.
That's not okay. Fair enough.
You know what I mean? It's not, I just mean like it's like a warm bath of a game. It's not gonna.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't want to belabor it because we have more stuff to cover. But I do love Kirby's Epic Yarn. I didn't love this. I think it's just too much stuff. Too much stuff that I don't care about. Whereas Kirby, there was 3 collectibles in every level, and that's the end of it. But I do get that kind of like treating it as if it's just something you can relax with. Maybe I wasn't relaxed in that moment or something. I don't know. Anyway,
it also doesn't do a lot to like assuage you to relax. Like they're like, "Hey, you got 4 characters now." And you're like, "Oh shit, really?"
Yeah. How many? Are there a lot of characters? It seems like there's a lot of characters.
I think there's a lot of characters
because just that random like. So you get the girl. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then her dad joins you, and you're like, but like, does he have to?
Right. It does
like,
seem to
he
be
could just
a
stay
bit
and
of
defend the village. It's cool.
It does seem to
need
be
him.
insane of a game. Yeah, I don't know.
There's just so many questions and so few answers.
I think the real struggle is with Ni no Kuni 1. It was such like a well-designed, tight experience with plenty of flaws for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I think with like the pushing, the driving narrative and the design and everything, like this seems to be confused. Like it really doesn't know what it's trying. Like they're like, "Hey, did you like Ghibli? Did you like characters? Did you like this? Did you like that?" And you're like, "I guess yes." But
do you like missiles?
Did you like?
I do like missiles. They were right.
Did you like the beginning of the game where you had to do that puzzle thing with the walking with 2 characters? And you're like,
no.
Not really.
No.
They're like, how about a lot more of that? And you're like, oh no.
How about statue turning puzzles? And just step on every square before they all go. Oh, God, I can't even do it.
Yeah. Anyway, other games.
Someone take it away. I got some stuff, but.
Well, we haven't talked about any Monster Hunter, but also Monster Hunter is dead. Long live Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is dead.
Monster Hunter is like still alive, but we have moved on from Monster Hunter. But it was really good. I really enjoyed that game. I'm so glad I played it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, me too.
I'd love to come back to it. I'd love to try out that new gold dude.
I feel like you could feasibly like do stuff on your own in that game if you really wanted to.
Oh, Jamie, is your cousin still out there like farming?
I don't know.
He's still just like, hey guys.
No, he's playing, of all things, he's playing Fallout 4 now.
Oh, they're gonna say Fortnite.
Oh, I think he told us that, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna find out in 100 hours that you hated this."
Well,
every time,
all your decisions mean nothing.
No, he loves
Enjoy.
it. He's beaten the game multiple. He beat the game when it came out. Now he's playing again on a different console. Just because
to make all the same choices with different answers.
He loves it. Every time I log in to play God of War, I see him playing that. And he's like, "Hey, is that game any good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like the best game." And he's like, "Okay,
probably the best game.
I'm gonna play this game though."
Yeah.
I hope their new IP is not as just tepid as Fallout 4 was, because that game just totally lacked in any kind of like the world was cool looking, but man, there was no vibrancy.
Todd.
Nope.
Yeah. So really kind of laid bare all the flaws of that style of RPG.
Well, just you wait for a Skyrim 2.
I don't know. Why do Skyrim 2 when you can do Skyrim, I don't know, AR version? See that mountain over there? Now you can see it in the real world.
Skyrim Expanded Edition. Google Maps.
Skyrim Battle Royale.
Skyrim mobile phones. Why not? Needs to happen. Put some loot crates in that game.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, should we just let's talk Monster Hunter real quick. I mean, so what worked for that game? Talk up what you like, Griff.
I don't know, but it did.
It's just
I'm kind of with Jamie on that one. Like, I think it's that Capcom ability to seize on the drought of the year and push out something that is one, like really, really okay in comparison to what it's been in the past. Like head and shoulders amazing above what they've done before, and just like pump it full of improvements that people have been asking for years. So, so many of the things with Monster Hunter World are like, man, you know what's annoying from Monster Hunter? This. Okay, we solved it. But then there's a slew of other problems. But I think really what Monster Hunter did was, like, in a time of need, it was there as like a really amazing multiplayer experience and even single player experience where it's like, hey, what's fun grinding monsters or grinding encounters where you have to understand tells and and it's kind of like a long slog battle where you are a man who can only do so much against this monster, and then when you triumph, it's extremely victorious, and then you get these items, and then you turn them into the next item, and it's just this incremental grind into the next, where you redo that fight to get the next piece, to get then into the next realm to fight the next monster that's even more complicated, and I think it just really hit a chord at the time of the year, and because Monster Hunter is like this hypothetical for so many people, like I kind of just described, and then it was kind of like this unleashing of the barrier to entry for so many folks that was like, all right, go do Monster Hunter now, and everyone's like, I get it, it's great.
Yeah, it's like they finally got out of their own way enough for the core potential to show through to people who aren't already obsessed. And I think there's still so much room for growth, and I'm excited for competent multiplayer that doesn't require 8,000 hoops being jumped through. But just fighting those things was so much fun, and it didn't feel like I needed to be some kind of crazy pro to do it.
You're absolutely right.
It's funny because, so first of all, I'll say I love this game, and I probably will go back to it at some point. Like I loved playing it. I loved collecting the loot. I loved the enemy design and everything. But this is my kind of shitty hot take that I don't necessarily 100 agree with. But I think the game is very bad. I think it's a very bad video game that it is not fun. When I'm contrast it with God of War, everything I do in God of War, when I'm paddling in the boat, I'm like, someone did the math right on these paddles. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, but you're talking apples and oranges there, dude. Yeah. You're talking a narrative-driven experience versus an MMORPG that's been slimmed down.
If you look at it as an MMORPG, which is probably the right way to look at it, then yes. But I'm talking about the minute-to-minute, when I swing the axe in God of War, it feels so good. And when
when you swing that great axe,
when you press the R1 button and then he does the kind of, I don't know, I haven't gotten far, but
when you stab a monster in the neck with the giant switch axe and electrocute it to death and then blow it up, it's fucking rad too.
Yeah. But I mean the actual, just the it's like talking about how good does a jump feel in a game to me. In this game, I just feel in God of War, I just swing the axe around for no reason because it is fun in and of itself. I would never do that in this game. I would never take my infinite ammo on my light bowgun and just shoot it because everything about actual combat in this game is clunky and there's no feel and there's no immediate response.
I think that's
I disagree 100% with you, though. I 100% disagree with you. I think that the combat in Monster Hunter is extremely powerful and weighty and complicated and fascinating of its own degree.
I think it's fascinating in that it has a barrier to entry, and it is not immediate. It doesn't satisfy maybe in the way that God of War does, but I think that it is intentionally weird. And it's about kind of learning to use that weird to overcome something that is more fluid and more just titanic than you are. More powerful, more fluid, more adaptable. Yeah. And you have this tool which you need to use.
Imagine, Jamie, if you were playing God of War and you could switch characters and it was every third-person action game character where it's I'm God of War now. I'm Mr. God of War, and now I'm Mrs. Bayonetta, and now I'm Mr. Dante. And, you could switch between all these archetypes.
That doesn't even work because it's not so much that you're switching between a bunch of powerful combo-driven characters. You're switching between I'm weird paperclip. I'm
yes,
rock, and it's you're fighting the same enemies, but you have to use paperclip to beat them, and you're okay, how am I going to make this work with paperclip?
Right. I'm really invested with paperclip.
I agree with you guys, but I think thinking of it like an MMORPG is exactly the right way to think of it. But I agree that when you pull it off, it's incredibly rewarding. It's a very fun game. I just think that little parts of it, to me personally, feel clunky and I don't know, just not immediate in the way that I would want. I will say that I thought of Monster Hunter when I first started playing it as the way that I thought MMORPGs would be when I was playing Dark Age of Camelot and EverQuest 2 back in the day. Like, I thought that they would eventually evolve into these epic fights where you and a couple of people would like span a whole map chasing this like epic monster down, and it totally nails that. Like, but in this, I'm just talking about like literally the immediate, like the feel of the game. Like, I press the button, is it immediately gratifying? To me, no.
I 100% get what you're saying now, Jamie. Where I'm like, when I play Monster Hunter, and I get like stuck in a corner because Toby Kadachi is like just grilling me like a motherfucker, and I can't get up, and I'm like shocked and miserable. But when I'm playing God of War, like, I never feel like I'm fighting against the mechanics. Like, if I'm doing bad, I know that I just need to, like, you know, it's not that I need to level up. I'm just like, oh, I need to like get some space and take a breath and think about things differently. But in Monster Hunter, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is bad. I got some bad luck here. Like, this is bad RNG. Toby Kadashi like really got up my ass on this one.
Although
bad job me.
I think that like, I think that part of that experience is just that the game asks. It doesn't really create mechanics that empower the player in the sense that, like, I would never describe Monster Hunter combat as like visceral in the way that God of War combat is. It's like it's fiddly. It's
complicated.
Yeah, it's just so
demanding
that has a lot of intention behind it. I think it's a matter of whether that lands for you. It sounds like it doesn't. It sounds like, Jamie, you're more drawn to sort of a combat that just feels, as you said, more immediate. That is like, you swing an axe and like there's some contact there, and there's a feedback, and there's like a the enemy reacts to that axe and the way, and that's not Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is like
dead axe.
I almost see it as like a puzzle game. It's like you're not really fighting a monster; you're just solving a physics puzzle.
Yeah, I think the way that you guys are thinking of it is a much more productive way to think about, and that you're right. That's what the game is. But it's just for some reason maybe it's because I'm playing. Do you guys play on the? Oh, you guys, is it? So on the Pro, you have the resolution mode and the 60.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Power to the players.
Let me tell you guys what it's like at the top. No, but I'm playing on like the 4K. You know, it's definitely.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's definitely dipping below. There's some lag in there because I'm putting this on myself. Like, I have an option that it could be super smooth, but I am like a stubborn. I'm like, as what's his name? Who's the Kotaku guy who we love? I can't think of his
Tim
name.
Rogers.
As Tim Rogers says, I paid for all 4 of those Ks, and I'm gonna get my money's worth. So, like, on all games, including God of War, like, I choose the resolution setting, which usually makes combat feel a little.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah. So.
Also, as an aside, did you see Tim Rogers' Donkey Kong shirt today, Jamie?
No. I have to check it out.
He has a Donkey Kong Country T-shirt, which is the most gaudy, hideous thing I've ever seen.
Wonderful. Mine came in the mail today. I'm very excited to put that in my Switch.
Oh, cool. You've never played it?
No, I beat it. I am in love with that game. It's one of my favorite platformers. I beat it multiple times on that stupid console that they put out.
I did as well. You're going to love those
Which
load
one?
times. Oh, Griff, now the controversy really is.
Yeah, it was...
Should we? So we were talking Monster Hunter. Do we want to make any more points before we keep things moving here?
I just want to make it clear that I love the game. I just think that it's not as, like you say, I think it's not as immediately satisfying, and you really have to grok it. And like sometimes you're just shooting at an enemy with a light bow gun, and it's going 1, 1, 1, and you realize that it's not you, it's the level, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'll jump on top of that too, Jamie, and say, like, this is the Monster Hunter that I've had the most fun with, and it's been the most amazing Monster Hunter that I've played with. But then also the drop off has been like more intense than any other Monster Hunter that I played, because I guess as difficult as it was, it made connecting with people easier. I know that sounds insane, but there's no desire for me to do it by myself, and there's also a lot less desire for me to try and pick it up and get back into it. Like, yeah, I can probably go beat up some great Jaggies or something, but I think that it very much like you said, like you compare it against God of War and you compare it against other games that have come out this year, and it's like, I want to invest my time in this because it is more rewarding to some extent. I don't think that's the right word, but I think there's something a lot more. I think Monster Hunter World is incredible and did a lot of incredible things, but I want to. There's not a lot bringing me back to it because other games are out right now, and I think that probably pushes us into a next conversation. So sorry, Geoff, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say real quick, that might just be a testament to the quality of the games, and also like where we're at in our lives. I think for some people the game has had a lot of legs, and I really enjoyed it. So it sucks that it lacked the staying power for you, Griff, and I know you loved it too, Jamie.
Yep.
I think that,
had some
Griff,
qualms.
you can. I just want to add real quick. You can, and I have played with randos because sometimes, like, just by the nature of the way the game is, like you'll be playing in a group of friends, and maybe two of your friends are a little farther, so they'll be doing something, and you'll have been waiting for them, and then you're kind of off, and then you got to go do your own thing. So I played with randos a lot. Playing with randos, not bad. Still a lot of fun.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah,
I liked it at least. And
no, he was saying definitely not bad.
Oh, okay. And I had this funny thing where I don't know if you guys have played with randos enough to realize that this kind of thing happens. So after you defeat the boss, some people are jerks, and they will wait in front of the body, the carcass, or in front of a drop that you broke off of the body, and as you go up to get it, they will hit you.
Yep,
and
I've had that done to me.
And what I can do, what I kind of love doing is what I'll do is with the light bow gun is I'll set a depth charge so that what'll happen is with one of the weapons where that happens, if I've set the charge, they will be bounced back. So they think they're going to fuck me over, and I just blow them away, and it's very fun. I like it.
That's super super silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm all good on that now, though.
Yeah.
Griff, any final thoughts?
It's a good game.
It's on my list for the year, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too. I had a great time. I think the best... It's one of those things where it's like, a lot of people talk about, like, Destiny, like, play with friends. Like, this is very much that same thing, where it's like, it was so much better playing with you guys while I'm playing it.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to go back this summer during the
I
drought
feel tainted,
games.
but it was still a ton of fun.
I'm taking y'all back. I'm going to show up at your house like, what's his name from Lost? I'm going to have a big old beard. It's going to happen.
We have to go back, Jack.
That's Jack. There you go. Back Jack.
We have to go to Devil Joe.
I haven't fought him yet.
The Jaggies, they're so great.
There's a gold one now.
The gold Jaggy.
Gold.
I think we've been continuing to hit up against this topic, which is the God of War, the God of the War.
Yeah. So this is your guys' terrain.
Jamie.
I played it on like a terrible day.
We have to talk about the God of the Wars.
I'll open this conversation by saying something interesting. So today I went to a bookstore and I bought Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology because I started reading it in the bookstore.
How is that?
It's really good. It's literally just his retelling of Norse myths. And I was very surprised how...
Neil Gaiman is the fucking craft beer of storytelling, right?
Probably.
Okay.
And I was surprised and kind of impressed about how much of this game is very, very true to the actual Norse mythology and not... Is
Neil Gaiman the true Norse mythology? Sorry, is what I'm coming with is Neil Gaiman the true source on this? Or
yes, he is.
Listen,
if you want to know
seriously, and he did a lot of research. Like he
did a lot of acid, probably.
It's a lot of like it's a serious undertaking of this. He's done this before with other mythologies, and I've read them and enjoyed them and stuff like that. And I've been impressed. Like there's lots of little things in this game. Like for example, as a stupid side quest, Odin has these birds that you can shoot out of the sky, and it's kind of a bad side quest, but whatever. Anyway, in real Norse mythology, Odin actually has birds like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like
that's kind of neat.
They're really doing the research here. And they're like actually incorporating it in. And there's dwarves in the game, or dwarves, I think. And what are those guys? What are the Smiths? What is their race, Griffin? Are they dwarves?
They're dwarves.
So yeah, in like actual Norse mythology, there are dwarves. Like when I was playing this game, I'm just like, okay, they put dwarves in the game, whatever. I guess that's cool. But no, in Norse mythology, there's actually dwarves, which is cool. And
what's Norse mythology?
Norse mythology is what Neil Gaiman said after he smoked a ton of crack.
Oh man, so that's cool. Anyway, game's real good.
Yeah, I want to hear.
And then he wrote the Sandmar.
Sandmarn, yeah.
Sandmarn.
So I just want to give my experience real quick and be like kind of poopy, so you guys can tell me I'm an idiot, and then talk.
No,
about
you have every right to think it's poopy because I did too.
Yeah. So the first hour of that game's poopy.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. I just need to play more of it. It's the Hinterland situation all over again. I believe it in my heart though, that it will get good. That first hour was hard, and I chose a harder difficulty, which seems like it was a horrible move.
Oh, that's way bad. Yeah, especially at the beginning.
What is wrong with you?
I just thought it would be more. It's Uncharted syndrome. Like I always play those games on hard because
Geoff, you're like, I'm an expert at third-person combat, so I would like to ratchet up this difficulty.
Well, I just assumed that normal would be easy.
In Uncharted, the game is bad. Like the actual shooting is bad.
It is bad.
But no, can I bring this back to God of War though?
Yes, come back.
Because God of War original, like 1, 2, 3, 4, the standard difficulty was brutal. Like I played those games and it was not fun. Like it was a very mean and not yielding game.
Yeah.
This game is
real quick.
This is the same way, Jamie. You're absolutely right. Like the standard difficulty is not easy. I think that there's like a trajectory, and you hit an escape velocity when things get super hell of easy. Mm-hmm. But much like a God of War, like there is ample opportunity to fail in any moment.
And did you get to? I agree with you that you kind of hit you kind of get to a point where you're kind of like, okay, I get this, but at the and you might start coasting a little bit there, but then there are always side quests that will really make you feel like you're not there at all, and there's so much more depth to plumb in terms of the combat mechanics.
Yes, and I'm still finding things that are quote unquote outranked for me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And trying to get through those is really fun. It's one of those. I mean, I'm not the kind of person in a game where if the enemies in this game have levels, and if I'm level 3 and the enemy's level 9, I'm not the kind of person in a game that's going to be like, I'm going to try to figure out how to kill this thing anyway. But in this game, I totally am, because sometimes you can, and it's very rewarding. And I just love that aspect of it. What I really like about the combat in the first kind of separate level that you go to, I'm going to try to be really spoiler free because I'm not that far either. Then the first kind of separate level that you go to, and you start encountering a different looking and feeling type of enemy, there are certain things that I was doing prior to that worked for me, and they just weren't
Jimmy,
working.
Can you even as obscurely describe this level that you're into?
It's just like the first. It's Alfheim. Do you know it?
Yes.
Yeah. So there were things that I was doing for enemies that could
the
not
flying guys.
Yeah, there were things I was doing for enemies that could not fly that were no longer working, and I was just like, okay, I need to do something different. And I tried a couple things, and then I hit something that worked, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I ended up playing completely differently than I had previously. I really liked that about the game.
I agree 100%. And I think that once you get to Alfheim, that is that breaking point where you really learn to be like, okay, combat is fun. I have enough abilities to actually be interesting. I know the mechanics. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm not overwhelmed. That's where I really, Jamie and Geoff, feel like I got that under my belt, because I'm at a point in the game in which I can open doors that I previously could not open.
Oh, interesting.
So I've hit, I think, like the echelon, but looking back on that, like I 100% feel like that was the point where I'm like, oh, I get the game now.
It's really long, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you beat it, Griff?
No, I haven't. Like I said, I have an opportunity to go forward into the quest, but then also for the first time in the game, it was like, hey, you should do side quests. I'm like, maybe I should. So once I jump back in, I'm going to go headlong back into the main campaign.
One thing the game does really amazingly well is it does that thing where you learn, just by nature of being forced to learn new techniques, you learn these new techniques. Then the game has some backtracking. You return to previous areas, which is, to me, not annoying at all. I mean, I'm a Metroidvania guy, but this game, I think, does it very well, even if you're not a Metroidvania guy. Anyway, you return to these previous zones, and the enemies are back. And in any other game, I'd just run past them. In this game, I'm like, I'm going to smoke these bastards like 30 times faster than I did the first time, because I'm a badass now. And I love doing that. Like, I love applying these new techniques that I've used on these older enemies that gave me such a hard time before. But now,
I don't even think there's a lot of opportunities to go back and smoke old enemies. Like, there's places where you go back and review old locations, but then they're like, yeah, this portion is available for you to do.
I guess it's stuff that I missed, maybe. Like, little side things.
It seems like the world is, at least from my limited exposure, is super dense and also, like, kind of linear. Does that persist throughout?
You were absolutely right. Yeah,
it's an interesting combination. I mean, I'm kind of cool with it. Like,
it's probably less linear than you are probably thinking, Geoff. Because
I'm in the first dungeon, so to speak.
Yeah, like I'm just kind of like paddling along in this new area, and it's like, oh shit, there's this new area to go in investigate. And it's like, okay, standard puzzle solving. Oh wait, here's something totally new. So they do a good job of throwing different things at you. There's probably a lot more than meets the eye, but I don't know. Like, I was kind of down. My expectations were very low, and as I'm continuing to play it, like, it's a God of War game, but like it's also very different.
The continuous shot, the effect that has on me personally, I cannot understate it. And I think I've said it many times on this podcast and to you guys before, but I hate cutscenes. Some of the most powerful gaming memories I have are of JRPGs in the 90s that had story scenes play out in the same view that you controlled the game in. Because
like what?
Like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, like literally just reading text, looking at the screen in the same way that literally the screen is the same as when I would be playing the game.
Yeah. Right. The date at the Golden Saucer. I
exactly.
Gotcha.
Looking down at
June
Squall,
on Parade or whatever else.
Looking down at Squall as a kid, and like it's raining outside, and he's leaning against a rock, but it's the same view.
When Irvin couldn't take the shot,
and like,
and I think that might be a cutscene actually.
No, not after that.
Oh, he takes the shot, and then nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers.
But the fact that the fact that it's one continuous shot, and you never feel like the control is taken away from you, even when you're watching this beautiful cinematic scene, because at any moment it could snap back, I feel like is so powerful, and it lends the game part of the emotion that I got from Breath of the Wild. Even though the game structure and the map is not similar at all, just that feeling of being on this long epic journey, and I'm on this journey. I'm going to row the boat. There's fast travel, but it's not really fast travel. Like, I'm going to go everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Jamie, I'm going to jump in here and say I absolutely dislike all that. The having to run through the fast travel as the game loads, the paddling the boat is fine, but like, I like those moments where it's like, okay, exposition time, put the controller down. Wait, no! There's a quick time event. Tap, 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 tap.
And that's why MGS4 is the best game.
And so I don't. I think there's something different that this game does, and it's not as like dumbass as kind of what I'm talking about. But I also really like it with these moments of exposition, and there's no difference from those exposition moments from cutscene moments. Like, maybe you're saying like the seamless transition like really speaks to you, but to me it's like, as a person who enjoyed cutscenes, like there's no difference. Like when Snake walks into a room and then you can get the loading sign, and then it's like a different engine or something that's running and they look different. Like, yeah, it's all the same. It's the same story. I think this game does a really good job with like blending that seamlessly, but also you can look in those would-be seams and be like, okay, well, now I gotta slide through this wall, or I gotta run around this area, and I would rather just have a moment where it's like, all right, put the controller down, walk away for 5 minutes, come back. Okay, we've ridden the elevator long enough. We're good to be there.
I hear you with the liking the cuts. I don't fault anyone for liking cutscenes. A lot of people love cutscenes. I like cutscenes in games too, but I love that feeling of it all being one journey. And one thing I will agree with you with is that sometimes I almost wish there were QTEs. Like, I wish I had something.
No!
I wish I had
No!
I really... So
you monster!
You gotta pull that Gorgon's eye out or whatever.
Can I tell you that... So I loved the game from the beginning. I loved the fight with the stranger, and I loved the stupid moment when you're fighting the stranger and he shoves you into the rock, and then the little prompt comes up and it says Spartan Rage available, and it wants you to press the button. Like, I loved that. I actually kind of wish that there was more of that. And sometimes when I'm watching Kratos do this crazy thing,
there
where
is plenty.
I wish
more?
Spartan
Okay,
Rage
good.
would be more available.
Yeah.
I like how it
so
said
distant.
available. It's like you
It's
don't need
a
it.
very strange term to use to describe it.
It's available
What a weird
to you.
passive verb.
Yeah.
My initial impression of the single take thing is it's just very impressive from a directing standpoint. Like, it's impressive to not have to rely upon cutting. I imagine over a space of 40 hours that could become exhausting, though.
40 hours is a drop in the bucket.
It's longer than 40 hours?
It's about 100 hours.
I'm nowhere,
What?
man. I'm like 10. I'm nowhere.
Yeah, you're nothing into the game at this point.
If you want to,
Wow.
if you want to really, if you mainline it, it's probably 2030. But
No,
That's so
not
long.
true. It
Yeah?
is not 2030. No, good luck, sir.
okay,
Wow.
I didn't know. I'm happy about it. I hope it's long. And the other thing is, I'm taking my time with it, and I really think that's the way to play. Like, I don't want to... The combat is very rewarding. I find after, like, any more than, like, an hour and a half, 2 hours of it, I've had my fill, and I don't really want to do it anymore. But I think...
The absolute best part of the game is... Now, I don't know how much we're going to get into this, but we got
Don't spoil
7
it.
minutes left before our hour. But the best part is just, boy,
Oh, I'm just saying, boy.
translate this.
I can't read. I've been alive for thousands
I'm
of years.
so angry at you.
And
Why don't
the,
you know everything?
the relationship between Kratos and what is it? God,
Atreus.
Atreus. Yes,
Or
thank
whatever
you.
his name is.
Is the highlight of the game, and
Oh, yeah.
it grows, and it's impactful and powerful and meaningful and awesome. And there's like actually really cool moments that happen between them at incredibly well measured parts of the story where you learn more about both characters and they have arcs. And like I was ready to come to this game and be like, oh yeah, another Kratos sucks game. And yes, and absolutely yes, like that noise of him being like, "Argh! Argh!" like when he goes rage mode, I'm like, God, this is so trite and so plebeian and pathetic and dude bro and fraternity nonsense.
Spartan Rage.
But then it's like there's actually endearing moments that really have a lot of weight, and I'm like, oh.
And they don't.
My,
They don't
damn
just.
it.
They don't just happen, and that's it either. I won't spoil anything, but I just want Griffin to know what I'm talking about. At the end of Alfheim, that when Kratos does a thing, and Atreus feels left alone for a bit.
Yes.
That moment.
Oh my god.
That moment lingers, and it's almost like a curtain falling over the game, and it lingers, and only like what seems like an eternity later do the characters address that in a very natural way, which is amazing. In games like something happens and then it's done. And in this, it's like, no, we're going to we need to process this, which is
yes,
really cool.
yes.
That's cool.
And that's what I love about this game is Jamie. I'm so happy you got to that point, because that is what I hate about GTA games. And this game, like that is gameplay. That is the ludonarrative dissonance, where you are playing through a moment and you return to a moment, and it's like, oh fuck, like there is impact. Like, you cannot feel this moment unless you're playing a game, which I absolutely adored. Yeah. But I felt so horrible.
Yeah. No, this game is so good at that. Like, it puts you in situations, like when you first meet real humans and you have to kill real humans. And that, and how Atreus reacts to that and how you react to that. That is not something that happens and then you move on.
Right.
That's something that happens and is... It has ripples throughout the rest of the narrative, and even in sometimes the gameplay, which is really cool.
Sounds a lot like The Last of Us, but in a good way.
It is. It's absolutely a lot like The Last of Us. There's no shying away from the truth that it is a lot like The Last of Us.
Sure,
but the game deals with its own history extremely well.
That's interesting,
and it deals with its own reality extremely well. Like, the point that I'm at right now, like, there's a lot of, like, not just because I saw Infinity War tonight, but there's a lot of, like, laugh out loud, self-aware parody moments that happen in that game where you're really feeling emotionally, like, impacted, and then the game just kind of makes a jab at itself, and you're like, and you kind of, lose it with the characters as they're losing it too. And it's actually, like, really fucking good.
Yeah.
Does Kratos sit with Atreus and tell him about that time when he shoved a bare-breasted woman into a gear to hold a door open?
Not specifically.
That was thousands of years ago, okay? Those thousands of years ago.
It's not specifically addressed.
Rules about women back then.
But Geoff, like, joking aside, like, that topic is broached in the story.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, look, from the little bit that I played, it looked like it was ready to handle itself with some decorum, and it was clear that there was a something that they were aiming for. I didn't feel like some totally shitty. I mean, again, Spartan Rage still just turns me off.
It's still dumb as shit, yeah.
To a very strong degree, but it really seemed like they were aiming to cultivate something there between Atreus and Kratos, even if it was a story that I'm not so sure I really am jazzed about. It seems like there's some care there, so that's definitely evident already.
One thing that's different about the tone of the game to me at this point, and I'm still fairly early, is that as I recall from playing The Last of Us, there was always a sense to me that, like, these characters in some way are doomed. Like, Joel is too damaged, and he is not, like, adequately, like, analyzing the repercussions of his actions, and Ellie is not questioning those actions enough. So, like, these characters, the end is not good for them. One of the nice things about this game is that Kratos is an asshole, but there is an element of hope and a small iota, a hint that in the beginning of the game where I am, that some part of him wants to repair this relationship.
Yes.
Which it lends the game a sense of hope and hopefulness that it seems really like, I don't know, it's something that'll propel me through the story.
There's also a degree of being absolutely doomed through all of it too, Jamie. I know where you're going with, but keep in mind the emotional roller coaster is still waiting to take its next drop for you. But I think what I really, really absolutely adore about this game, opposed to the previous God of War games, is and the game actually acknowledges this itself, where it's like, this is a power fantasy, and power fantasies are cool, but this game, like, it very much is a game made by people who are in their 30s and 40s that are like, yeah, being Super Saiyan would be awesome because you can rip somebody's jaw off, but also, why would you want to do that? And this, I think that God of War kind of pivots for the first time ever, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna destroy this gigantic titan by taking its hand and ripping it off and stuffing it through its eyeballs. Where it's like, no, I have to kill a god, and it's going to be incredibly brutal and painful and ugly and disgusting. And I think it does a good job of setting that up to be like, this is actually miserable. And that's where you kind of connect with Kratos, as awful as that sounds, where it's like, yeah, you're not just hammering on the button to rip off the thumbnail of the giant, but you're doing something that's horrible, not because it's disgusting and gross and awesome, but because it's actually like super shitty.
I can't wait till I get there. I'm not quite there yet.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say you are, but I think that there's been plenty of moments in the game at this point where you're like, I'm not... Being the god of war isn't a cool thing to be anymore.
I think that the Norse mythology is really good for that, because apparently in actual Norse mythology also, to go back to the craft brew of literature, is it's exactly as Kratos lays out in the beginning of the game. Like, these gods are capricious. They are they feud, and they don't care about humans. They are interested in humans, and they're curious, but at like the heart of things, they cause so much more harm than good. And so there's almost like this onerous kind of like feeling that you have to do this just to protect yourself from them, because they are, I don't know, operating on their own strange level, which is kind of cool. The other thing I want to mention about the game, which I was really impressed by, is maybe because the camera is so tight on Kratos' back, the sense of scale in the game, and I've heard tell that there's some crazy stuff that happens later. The sense of scale in the game is absolutely breathtaking, and you meet some very large creatures. I haven't fought any of them yet.
Yes.
But just seeing them, and sometimes you'll go on like a side quest and you look up and it's there, and you're like, oh, and you kind of just take like a minute and you're like, that's awesome. That's very cool stuff.
It doesn't throw it in your face where you're like, now you're in the giant zone where everything's giant. You're like, oh, I'm walking around this area, and it's like, what is that? What is it? Is that a foot?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, that's a full foot that's connected to a dick and a chest and a face. Jesus Christ.
Is that how bodies work?
Yeah. Yeah, the foot's connected to the dick. You're a doctor, come on.
That's why you didn't pursue surgery. You weren't good at foot dick connection.
Foot bone's connected to the dick bone.
I'm glad you're on the same page, Griff, because I really think the game is just breathtaking, and I think it's going to be the kind of game that takes everything forward a little bit, like literally the whole video game genre.
Yeah, I was kind of ready for it to be a hot mess of hot trash and a lot of like dad stuff, but it is a lot more than that.
I'm glad to hear you liking it, Griff, because I know you just came in with a lot of pessimism.
Yeah, I did.
It tells me that when I find a better mood state and I actually sit down with it and turn the difficulty to normal, I'll have a great time.
It's funny because I respond well and poorly to reviews, right? And to the point where, especially with music, I try to avoid reviews entirely, and I have the opposite reaction sometimes. So if I keep saying, oh, this game's getting 100, and then there's like a moment where the game isn't wowing me, I'm like, fuck this game. Like, this isn't 100. This game still has problems, and this game still has problems, no doubt. But it has an ineffable quality that makes it an instant classic. That like goes above and beyond the review scores. It goes above and beyond the story. It goes above and beyond the mechanics of the gameplay, which are all of those elements are incredible. But the fact that they cohese so well, and the fact that the story is so unique, I really think is going to like move everything forward. I hope it moves everything forward.
Well, I mean, it gives me the motivation, now that I'm winding down my school for the year. And taking a step back from internship and stuff, it gives me the motivation to return to it with a little more kind of zest than I had when I started the first time. It was like, I'm having a really bad day and I feel incredibly stressed. Why don't I try God of War? And then I tried that and I was like, oh, this doesn't heal either of those things. Also, it's really hard and the checkpointing is weird in this section. So I just was really frustrated. But I think returning to it with fresh eyes and taking the difficulty down to a normal level will bring it back for me, because there's some cool stuff happening there, I can tell, but it's just
Griffin, let me ask you this. So Kotaku kept saying invest in the axe skills. That's like, do that early and often, and that'll serve you well. I was doing that and I was still dying a lot, but then I realized just the way I play, I really like the way that Atreus is used. I really like pressing square, and I really like the things that he can do. So I stopped investing in axe skills, and I put like everything into Atreus, and I started owning. And I'm wondering if you had a different route, and if the game respects that like various approaches in the beginning, or if there is like a right way to go about it.
So Griffin's in the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But I'm going to say that I'm excited to get to the skills, because that was another thing that made the beginning of the game hard for me, which is that it seems like getting to the threshold where the skills start to make themselves available to you, the first part of the game intentionally gates that either, or it's just a bit of a slog. I don't know.
I think that the combat system in the game is remarkable. I think what is a little bit frustrating about it in the beginning is, kind of similar to what we were talking about with Ni no Kuni 2, is you just don't have the resources available. The game, you're playing the game without you're playing the you don't have a full deck of cards.
It feels that way. It feels that way hardcore.
And once you have you'll get the full deck of cards pretty quick, and then it just keeps growing. And so it'll feel rewarding at first, and then you'll realize there's a million directions you can go in, and each of those directions, I think, has its own pluses and minuses. And I have a feeling, that's why I asked Griff, I have a feeling that the game would reward you no matter which direction you went in. The game will reward you whether or not you invest in the axe skills first, or whether you invest in Atreus first. That's my gut feeling, because people online were saying, do X, you have to do X. And I said, well, that's not fun. I'm not enjoying that. I like Atreus. I'm going to invest everything in Atreus. And and then I did it that way, and it's fine, and it's fun, and I'm able to play it the way I want to play. And I think that that's a really cool and unique and probably very difficult thing to get right in a game.
Yeah, Jamie, I just, at the point that I'm at the game, like, I have too much XP to do anything that I want to do with it. So, like, I have it pushed into stats that I'm happy to have happening. Like, I don't want to say I'm going one way or the other, because things happen. But
this is the thing with this
what
game.
Are you talking about?
No. I hear this in podcasts too. I don't know what happens in this game, but something happens.
Yeah, really.
And things happen.
Spoilers.
And
things
game
really happen.
And I think the game is going to like fundamentally change in a core way that affects gameplay in some way. And so I feel like when you get to that point, people just like don't know how to talk. It's very funny to listen.
It's not that like it becomes a puzzle game, or it becomes like a word search.
Don't say too much, because I'll start to get inklings without.
No, it's simply that God of War, the end.
Yeah, no, leave it at that, because I already am like formulating guesses in my mind that I don't want to formulate. It's making me excited though to see if my like wild speculation is right, how the narrative wends its way there.
The narrative is fucking amazing. Like,
yeah.
It is the highlight of that game. The combat is good. The axe is fun. Like, the open world stuff is really cool. Like, there's a lot of awesome dressing around it. But honestly, 100%, like, Ni no Kuni jokes aside, like, it is demanding my attention, and it is fantastic, and it is really making me want to engage with it. It is incredible.
How long into the game before your life gets turned upside down?
Like in West Philadelphia, born and raised?
Don't even tell, because I don't want Jamie to be spoiled.
Don't. Tell him after.
Don't do it. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, I keep hearing people talking about avoiding spoilers, and I have thus far, so I'll keep doing that, and I'll await whatever.
I'll tell you what. It's very simple. Like, you have to play this game this year. Like, if there's something that is on your radar, like, it has to drop below this, because you have to get through the hinterlands. You have to play God of War this year, and it's not trash like that game. Like, it is actually good narrative.
It hurts so bad. It still hurts. Because they're never going to make another one. They're all working on Anthem, sons of bitches.
Yeah, they're going to go out of business after Anthem tanks.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I don't think so. They'll eat some baby souls and be just fine.
They're going to be on mobile or something. Or like
EA
working on...
is making more millions of dollars than anybody through FIFA. There's no worries.
I was listening to Waypoint
ahead,
Radio. Sorry, I'll just say this real quick. I was listening to Waypoint Radio, and they hired a new girl, and she was on the podcast, and she was saying, like, you know what? Actually, Dragon Age Inquisition is an amazing game. And I literally wanted to, like, stop my car and, like, honk the horn and scream at the top of my lungs.
Who is that? Who's that
The new girl on Waypoint who does videos? I don't know her name.
Is it Danica?
No, not Danica.
Okay.
She wears glasses. I don't know. My bad.
I like Dragon Age Inquisition. It's real good.
Yes. I feel like
I had so much fun playing that game. I had problems, but I loved it.
But I feel like critically, especially in recent years, like I feel like people
its luster has worn off. Yeah,
I feel like people love to dunk on it, but I will play that game again. Like that game is so. I love it.
I dare you. I dare you to play it again.
It's really fun. It's like
I dare you to.
It occupies a strange space, and it's probably the beginning of some terrible trends, but it's still fun. I don't know how else to explain it.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
I love the story. I love everything about it. I love that game. I'm sorry.
Wait, did you ever beat it?
Yes.
I didn't. Corypheus.
Jason Schreier is writing a book about how people will like play FF7 and get to the last boss and stop.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. It's one of the themes he's exploring for his new book. He said so on Kotaku Split Screen, and I was like, yes.
Did you write to him and ask to be interviewed?
You're like, I'm justified in my neuroses, finally. Some nerd is writing a book about me.
Troubled soul, James Sherer. God rest his.
I drove to his house and waited outside, but he didn't come out. I thought we had a connection.
You kept throwing rocks into the window that just said "Finish Final Fantasy VII."
Hey guys, we're in overtime. Should we tie this pig down and come back?
Let's do it.
Come back in less than 6 months next time.
Yeah,
that's a big ask.
I always
get that
have
summer
an hour.
schedule going. Yeah, this was good. This was we talked some meaty stuff, and we've got more to cover when we get back.
Yeah,
sounds good.
All right.
So normally we talk about trends and news and bets and everything, but we ain't got time for that.
We have time for one more thing, which is to pour one out for Billy Mitchell.
Fuck no.
Yeah,
pour out a container of hot sauce.
I'm pouring nothing out for that.
One drop at a time.
Nope.
Let me tell you.
Dive under the ground and gobble those drops up because
Listen,
he does not deserve it.
Without him, we only have Tucker Carlson to rep American flag ties.
I wish I had the evidence in front of me right now, but I will show you that everything we've done has been by the book. What was that statement? Jesus.
I've had several
weeks
amazing to gather said evidence.
I'm really excited for 2020 when Billy Mitchell runs for presidency.
I'm really excited for 2020 when he's finally exonerated. Mm-hmm. That guy he's been trying to reach finally calls him back.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, bros.
What a disaster. Yeah, all right. We got to go.
Yeah.
It's been an hour of our lives.
Too
much time in the last 4 months.
We're doing this. We're going to set a date right after this is done. You listeners don't even know, but it's going to happen.
Fact.
All right.
Get ready. There's more podcasts coming.
Woo!
Boss Bear Rodeo will return.
Boss Bear Rodeo.
That's our spin-off brand.
No, changing brands. Boss Bear Rodeo is now Boss Bear Rodeo.
City
Buckle
don't
up.
Get it.
Hold on for 8 seconds, because this is the new hotness.
Love it.
Right, I've been Griffin Hoffman.
And I'm
Jeffrey Brewer.
Yeah, that's me.
James Sherer.
That's I.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, guys. We did an hour of podcasting, and now it's time to sleep.
Great work, everyone.
For 6 months. No,
we're going to do this more. I always have an hour.
Yes.
Good. We got an hour. Let's close it here.
Peace out, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
1, 2, 1.